Vito, thanks for performing for us, man. That was killer.
Thanks for having me.
So much was happening during that. I just want you to break it down for me a little bit, because it was like there were sound effects, there were your vocals, they were being manipulated. We had all this cool projection. It all seemed really tightly integrated. And so I hope we can just talk through the different parts of the performance and also look at the signal flow. So how audio was getting through this whole system, how MIDI was getting through it, how that interacted with the projection. So if we could start with the audio side of things, that's what everyone kind of knows already. How did you lay out your Ableton set? What's your thought process on how that works?
Sure thing. So the first thing to specify is that this is it's a live set. So it is not in the arrangement view. It is structured in session view. I have 8 different layers, or layers. I say layer because I'm stuck in video land, but I have 8 channels that represent different aspects of the song, and I have them color-coded so that I can stay organized. But I have my bass, any melodic elements, any textural, sound designy elements, kick drums, accent percussion, miscellaneous percussion, and then other miscellaneous. So it's usually like harmonies for vocals.
So those are like the pre-recorded things that are playing back. Why put them on separate tracks instead of just having the whole thing play? Why not have it all pre-mixed?
So in Ableton, you have individual send and return channels. And so I have 3 that I use normally. It's a reverb, a kind of dub echo, and then a multi-tap delay. And so the benefit of having individual tracks is that if I were in a live setting, I could individually control the effects of those parameters. And so I could send only the melodic elements to a spacey reverb while maintaining everything else.
And is that one of the things you were doing with these knobs up here?
Yeah, so these are my sends and returns, and that's how the APC40 lays it out. So for example, if I was singing a vocal and I am record enabled, right? This is my reverb. So I can turn it all the way down and we're 100% dry. And then I have my space, and my multi-tap delay. Even though, so that's cool, but if you wanted to do that for only my vocals and not for bass, because it's a terrible idea to ever do anything like that for bass, right? You need that individual control. And the other thing, sorry, that I wanted to mention is this is a really easy way for me to be able to pull like the lowest bass unit of a song for me to make audio reactive clips. And so if I have a clip that's just a kick drum, right?
Audio reactive, you mean that the video will respond to something in Ableton?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That clip on its own may not mean much, but if I put that in After Effects, right, in my basic video editing software when I'm making content, I can use those individual stems as kind of like the backbone. If I can tie parameters like the opacity of my video to the transient of a kick drum.
As you're building it,
as I'm
pre-making the videos.
As I'm pre-making content, it's really, really helpful to have individual tracks. And not just individual tracks, like that section of the song with just the kick drum.
So that's what we're seeing here. We have these, so this is basically the whole bass all the way through, the whole kick all the way through, and then each one of these is a different section of the song.
Exactly.
So your scenes are the sections, and the tracks are the different elements in the track.
Yep.
That makes total sense. Great. And then, so you have another track that's always your vocal. Is that the first one you have there?
Yeah, it's the first one for ease of access so that I never misplace it. But yeah, the first one has no clips in it. It's just a live vocal track.
Gotcha.
And I don't really do any looping or recording on that.
And then all your, I mean not all, but the audio stuff is the sends. You're not have like filtering on the different tracks, and you're thinking about the sends or what you're doing.
I have some of that going on, but it's difficult to keep track of a lot of those details during a performance, so I don't change too much of that. Also, the more effects I add, the more I start to hit a latency wall.
Sure.
But yeah, anytime you basically mouse over to any one of your tracks, the first effects rack that track has just shows up here by default. So at one point I was filtering a bass
Gotcha, and that's what you just clicked on here. I just saw you selected the track. I'm seeing auto filter there.
Yeah, exactly.
And we have cutoff frequency right there.
Exactly.
Right? So
two easiest parameters right at your arms.
Cutoff frequency and resonance.
Length.
Perfect.
Right.
So that makes a lot of sense, and I think we're in the zone where everyone in the class kind of gets that, right? So this is
and needs to buy an APC.
This is one of my favorite devices. So next, I'm curious about the video side of things. So let's just try to break it up, audio and video. And you actually already mentioned something that just blows my mind away, which is like how many different things you're doing, and how do you say, okay, these are the places I'm willing to take chances. These are the things I'm going to pre-record, right? These are the things that are going to automatically happen. Nice. If you're pre-making some of the clips in After Effects that are responding to audio, I think a lot of the audience might think that's happening live.
Totally.
Right? So there's a little bit of playing games with our expectations, but I know there are times where you were doing things live with the visuals too.
Yeah, and I think the first thing to say is there's a balance that you need to strike in terms of how much processing power your computer can do. If you're doing a set that's audio and video, if you wanted to tie every video parameter to a live audio parameter, it just wouldn't be possible.
So there's the CPU computer issues, but also the CPU mental brain limit of how many parameters you can think of, consider, and deal with during the show.
You know, if my hand is occupied at this time, there's no benefit to me actually making another video parameter tied to audio. It's just, you know, it's hand space that I don't have.
Gotcha.
So yeah, a lot of the time it's just thinking about what clips are really going to be the driving rhythmic element of a certain movement of a song. Yeah. So it's usually kick drums. Like there's no surprise, right? But I love doing that. I take those kick drum stems, I drop them in After Effects. I tie very simple parameters to that kick drum. So like the amount of displacement that happens, or like noise that happens. So it just, as soon as I drop that clip into Resolume, as long as Ableton plays it at the same time and they're in sync, that thing's just going to be moving with audio.
It just looks like it's happening.
It looks like it's happening live, but it's not.